Kia ora. Good morning. Morena. Happy Sabbath. I hope you're having a wonderful Sunday. I just don't even know where to begin. I've been, toy merch. I've been working on the Soul Collector. I've been taking notes down for when I rewrite Lucian's Dragon and write with a little help from my friends, like when I get it all out. Oh, excuse me. I've been up for a while. I've been working so hard this last week, since last Friday actually, since I did that binding on Trump. It's just like, yeah. So, and the whole following the Alaska Trail and all of that, I've been working my little tuchus off, and I'm very proud of myself. But my God, is it exhausting? So, because I can't unsee what I've built now, but what I've built it's expanding and growing and getting bigger and bigger and bigger. Like, for example, I put the stuff up about how I want all our toy range, which my nephew Jacob is going to be in charge of. He's going to be in charge of the comic book program and the comic book. He's going to be the comic book editor. So he's going to make sure that, when we print the comic book, that it looks like a proper comic. Because what he doesn't know about comics isn't worth knowing. He has an appreciation for comic book art and Marvel characters, and he knows what he's doing, and he'll have all the assistance that he needs to run this comic book program and get the comics published and put on our shelves and sold online and taken to the Comic-Cons and all of that, as well as any of the toys that are correlating to our video games and comics, which would be the Soul Collector and the Quantum Menace. I'm also sending him out to look for things for me to buy for my toy collection, because I want to invest in, I want to collect toys. Toys are an untapped investment potential as far as I'm concerned, and so he's gonna be my buyer, and so all my toys that we make are going to be handmade, expert craftsmanship. I'll need someone who can, quality control, and everything will be American made, American sourced, American made. And so I've been very busy. I've been researching all the favourite toys from the 60s, 70s and 80s, what's popular and what's not. Not that I want to copy them, but just to be inspired. Although my sons and I have spent years, hundreds of hours, talking about what we want our toys to look like, the materials we want them to be made in, so that's sorted. But today's supposed to be my day off, obviously, because it's a Sabbath, so I don't do housework or anything like that on a Sunday. Sunday is my day of rest, but my empire is growing by the minute, and I'm sitting here thinking about how I get to have action figures and toys and that are based off Indigenous people. How many Barbie doll toys or Action Man toys do you see where the main characters are Indigenous or African American or Chinese, for the American market? Because obviously my movies and video games and TV shows and all that, we are all shapes and sizes and colours and creeds. But since I've changed the Soul Collector to her being Indigenous, I mean, how cool is that? That the action figures to go along with the Soul Collector video game and comic book, she's going to be like a First Nations looking Indigenous Pacific Islander toned girl. And like with Draco TC and the Wolfman, I mean, the Wolfman's Indigenous and Draco TC is African American, and he's cool. Everybody's going to love his character. If you like Ice Cube, you're going to like Draco TC. And so they get to be role models not just for children all around the world, but for Indigenous children and African American children as well. They'll have someone to look up to. And because a lot of their jobs, and what I've written, these people work for the Ministry of Souls. So they're ethical and moral and righteous as well. They have integrity and honour and pride and all of that too, because they're working on behalf of their gods and their ancestors and, whatever they believe heaven and hell is to them, sort of thing. So they're role models. And it's got me thinking, because if I can have any of my kids like any of my shows or video games and say, God, Mum, when I grow up, I want to be just like Draco TC, or I want to be just like the Wolfman, or I want to be just like Ruby, or whoever, then I've done a good job. And if they can buy their toys and pretend to be them when they're playing in that, where these quote unquote minorities, are the heroes and role models in a lot of what we're doing, then, I mean, that's something to be very proud of. It means that the racial abuse and the race hate crimes that I endured and the money that I get from the lawsuit and all of that, putting it into promoting Indigenous people and, fighting for Indigenous rights and all that sort of thing, inspiring other people, was all worth it. Knowing that I knew I had to do good things with the money once I got it, and using it to promote Indigenous art and culture and, create jobs and all of that sort of thing, is going to be absolutely worth it. Bearing in mind as well, we've also got the George Callaghan Veterans Trust, so there's a lot of things that we'll be doing to help promote the veterans of America and all that, regardless of their religion or skin colour or anything like that. We're a box of crayons foundation where we're all colours, and we'll have toys in that from all ranges, because obviously just because Ruby is going to be Indigenous doesn't mean that the other people she works with are. Like the character that I'm working on that's like Cortana, but based off my son, I mean, he looks like a Viking, even though he's a mix of everything: Arab, Irish, Danish, French, German, Spanish, English, Indigenous, Egyptian, Persian. Like, he's all of it, but he looks like a Viking. Fair skin, blue-eyed, sort of dirty, blondie brown hair sort of thing. And so he's going to be a toy as well. And that's what's really cool. That's one of the things that I love, is that all the people that get to be the voice actors for my characters, or actors for my characters, get to become toys, where one day kids will be playing with them. Like, I have this idea for my character for the Legend of the Flung Shoe Master, which is our martial arts movie, with the action figure like that. So obviously he's going to be Chinese. He's going to be Asian looking. If I can pull it off, it'll be really cool, this action figure, but it just depends. So I've been sitting here thinking, how I write these characters, children copy their characters. They want to be like their characters, and because, there's no preaching in anything that I do, because everybody's religion and everybody's connection to their God and ancestors is their own personal business. I'm only talking on behalf of what I know from my perspective, but there's no preaching, there's no like Bible bashing or anything like that. The way that I've written everything, it's like you wouldn't even really know that most of my characters are working for or on behalf of our ancestors and the gods that our ancestors believed in. When it comes to the ones that work for the Ministry of Souls, like the Quantum Menace and the Mutant Legion, or the Quantum Menace Mutant Legion, like, they don't work for the Ministry of Souls. They're kind of like our version of the X-Men. So I'm obviously having to be very aware with how these characters are presented and what it is they're acting in or voicing. Because we are going to be having a toy range, and I'm wanting children from all around the world to look up to these characters and think, oh, I want to be just like them. I want to join the police force and be just like Draco. I want to join, I was going to say the FBI and be just like Ruby. But the FBI aren't a very good example of moral standing at the moment, are they? But you know what I mean. Like, not Draco TC, the time jumping detective. I want to be a private eye. I want to be a police officer. I want to be, whatever. I want to be an actor. I want to be an actress. I want to star in movies just like that. I want to be in shows just like that. So, not only do I have a moral obligation to make sure that everything that I write that is inspiring young minds, especially in the minds of my students that are going to be help making it all, as well as the children who buy the products and watch the shows and engage in the comic books and play with the toys and all that sort of thing, I need to make sure that their minds are kept innocent. Children should be children for as long as they possibly can without being encouraged to be childish. And so I've been thinking, I'm wondering if one of the things I should do for my actors, for my musicians, for my theatre performers, for my dancers, for, well, all of them really, for my kids, all of them, if they're wanting to grow up and have a profession or career in the performing arts or, the creative arts or in the IT industry or gaming industry or film industry or anything like that, if they're wanting job interviews to go really well for them, if they're wanting to give off exceptional interviews, should they become rich and famous in their own right, if they want to be taken seriously in society regardless of their socio-economic standing, I'm thinking maybe it might be a good idea to hold etiquette classes, etiquette and grooming classes, where we have etiquette teachers come in and teach the girls how to carry themselves and show the boys how to groom correctly. It's something that I do with my children and I always have done. My boys open doors for me. They open, push out chairs for me. They hold tables for me. They carry my bags. They immediately, when they see I've got bags, the first thing they do is take the bags off me. My son walks me to the bus station. He doesn't have to. I tell him he can go, but he insists on walking me to the bus station. They give me, like, my son is my eldest son, because obviously he's the heir. He gives me his jacket. He does everything he's supposed to do as a young man in regards to how he treats his mother. And I watch him when he's talking to other people that aren't me, or when he's talking about our business and our empire and that, and he immediately switches into the most exquisite form of speaking and putting himself across in a very eloquent way. And it makes me so proud that even his teachers at RAF school noticed. And I got the credit for that, for how well spoken he is, for the way that he's an instructor, he's a leader. People listen to him when he speaks. And he has exceptional verbal and writing skills, they said. And that's because of me. I take full credit for that. I got credit for it. It was like my proudest moment. It was a big 2 fingers up to when I was locked up in social services, and my ex, who tried to make out like I was this horrendously bad mother who had feral children who were, eating off dirty floors and all that. Quite the opposite. In fact, when they were with me, their the way their mannerisms and the way they came across was impeccable, because I was constantly getting comments from people when we were out about how respectful and well behaved my children were. I could take them anywhere, restaurants, hotels, movie theatres, supermarkets, anywhere. And I was constantly getting praised by women, especially, about how well behaved and how impeccably polite and that my children were. And I'm proud of that. And because I took etiquette classes, and if you, my boys have got videos of what I was like before my ascension, and I took etiquette classes when I started losing weight, and I knew that I was going to have a public life where I'd have to give interviews and stand in front of like cameras and paparazzi and do marketing things and advertising things and that. I absolutely pooped it because I thought, I was a drinking, smoking, swearing. Well, no, I gave up smoking when I was pregnant with Thomas, but as soon as I found out I was pregnant, I gave up smoking. Drinking, swearing, chugging chocolate, chugging Coke, getting fatter and fatter and fatter and fatter and fatter. And I thought nobody is going to take me seriously if I go rolling up to America to be with Martin and say, hey, look, I want to open the school, give me your children, while I'm as fat as the house I want to protect them in, grease coming off my skin and, just blah, effing and blinding. And so I took etiquette classes. And one day I will allow my boys to release some of the videos of what I was like when I was fat and angry and depressed and living under the thumb of an abusive husband who I didn't even know was the cause of every single medical issue that I had, that I had to cure myself from, especially once I escaped. It wasn't the best way for me to escape, but I knew that I was being yeeted for a good reason, and that as hard as what that yeeting was going to be for me, when I came out the other side, I was going to be grateful that it happened, and I already am. I just need to rescue my boys and, get them to Alaska. I'm hoping I can. I'm running out of time. But anyway, that's nothing to do with anything. And I completely transformed the way I dress. I never wore makeup. I mean, I don't wear makeup now, but I do put on a bit of mascara and gloss and all that. But that's only because I don't have the money yet to dress the way I want to dress and look the way I want to look. But once I do, I will be. I mean, I don't go outside without my mascara and my lip gloss and that. I won't wear heavy makeup. I will never. One thing that I'm going to do when my photographer, is doing like advertising and marketing and all that kind of stuff, taking photos, I will be a nightmare, especially if I'm modelling my clothes that I've designed, with my sister to sell at my fashion house. And because I want to be, how I'm going to do my version of QVC. I want to be able to sit in front of the camera and be comfortable with how I look, which is going to require makeup. But my number one rule is no Photoshop. I don't care if you have to take 4,000 versions of the same photo for the back of my book, no Photoshop, because I want to look exactly in real life how I do in anything I appear on. And so, I mean, yeah, I'll crack jokes and I'll probably be an editor's worst nightmare with some of the things I say because I am very honest, but I try to be respectful and polite, but whoever it is that I team up with, like for my shopping network, when we're selling all our, like me and Avella and our toys and our amulets and our food products and like our indigenous teas and coffees and all that, whatever it is that I'm marketing and selling, I want to be able to have like a good rapport with my co-host. I might not present everything, but like when it comes to the important stuff, like my tane clay, my rehua spray, my amulets, and the stuff that's important to me, I'll absolutely be there with, full bells and whistles. But even my boys can't get over how much I've changed. I found my style, I found my look. I just don't have the money to do it yet. Get my eyebrows, thinned out and have my hair done properly and all of that sort of thing. But I'm nearly there, and it's one of the things that I'll be able to do when I have my money. But guaranteed, I won't be wearing anything designer. I will absolutely promote like Indigenous fashions and all that, but you won't be seeing me in Jimmy Choo's or with, Coco Chanel's or anything like that. I would be ashamed and embarrassed. I would be embarrassed to be one of these people who had an ostentatious display of wealth. I find it vulgar, especially if you claim to be like a man or woman of God, who claims to be humble. I find it vulgar. So what I'm thinking is, I'd like to find some. I know there's a couple online because my ex-husband used to watch them, but I'd like to find some men who specialise in, like the sort of men that buy their clothes from the tailors at the Savoy and that place in London. What do they call it? You know how there's that row of tailors in London. People who go there, who know how to dress, or they dress people in Paris and Italy, and they're immaculate, and they'll show men how to put their kerchiefs. I don't know if men call them kerchiefs in their pocket, and how to wear their hair and how to groom and what scents to wear and what shoes to wear and what socks to wear and how to present themselves and how to carry themselves and how to do ties properly and how if you're wearing a suit you wear you wear like I was going to say handcuffs, cuffs and tie pins to keep it down and all that sort of thing. And if you're that relaxed look and how you hold, even if you're poor and you're having a cup of coffee from a bloody plastic cup, this is how you hold it, sort of thing. Because you don't need to have money. Money doesn't mean having good manners. And I want my children, just like with my sons are known when they're out for having impeccable manners because of me, because I literally got the credit for it. So I want my other kids to be known for their impeccable good manners as well, because you have to understand, when we have our festivals, if they're selling any of their products in the market stalls, or they've got any jobs working behind the counter or food ferry delivery or anything like that, I want them to be representing our school to the highest, you know. So I want them to know how to dress properly and carry themselves properly, even if they, have to go back to the favelas of Brazil once they leave our school after a year. They can carry all of that with them. They'd have a higher chance of getting a job or getting help or getting roles or anything like that, if they are standing out above all of the others in their line of work or line of interest or whatever, if they come across with exceptional manners, where it's completely natural for them and not fake. Even if they're goths and they've got blue hair and, piercings everywhere and, they're angry at the world, they can still have impeccable manners. In fact, most people, I was just watching, oh gosh, the guy from Slipknot that died, Joey Jordison. You look at him and you think, oh my God, Slipknot, ew, it's scary, to most people. But what an impeccable, polite, respectful, gentle, beautiful man he was. Oh my God. I thought, if he was still alive, he's somebody that I personally would have been proud to know. the way he came across in interviews, he wasn't all effing and blinding and crude and rude and swearing and disrespectful. And looking at all the comments in the documentary about him, everybody was talking about what an amazing young guy he was. And yet when he was on stage and he had his Slipknot #1 mask on and all of that sort of thing, he would have scared the crap out of most people of my generation and up. But he just, even with his dyed hair and, that stage performance and everything, I mean, he commanded respect from like Metallica and his audience and that, because he was just such a all-round lovely guy. Everybody loved him. Nobody had a bad thing to say about him other than his own band members, which was atrocious what they did to him. How they treated him was horrendous. But it just goes to show that the mask you wear on the outside isn't like, it's just a performance, and how you come across in the real world shapes and mould how people see you. And because he presented himself in such an impeccable way, like when his friend died, his friend Paulie, was it? Paul died, he wasn't afraid to express his emotions at the loss of his best friend, his brother. He considered him like a brother. He showed his emotions. The Slipknot dude just poured his heart out in front of everyone and didn't care, because he was grieving the loss of his best friend who helped him write most of Slipknot's songs. And yet, to look at him, you would think like, oh my God, he's probably a devil worshipper and does horrendous things and sleeps around and blah blah, does yucky things, and he's spooky and scary and occult and he's evil, but he genuinely wasn't. Once he stepped off stage, or once he engaged with the audience or his fans or whoever was interviewing him, you could see who he really was. And who he really was absolutely someone to be admired and respected. His parents, his his mum and stepfather, probably didn't help. It probably helped, I mean, that his family owned funeral parlours and he worked out in the funeral parlours. And you have to have a certain etiquette when you are working with the dead in the morning. But his parents are a testament. He's a testament to how well he was raised. He didn't let his fame go to his head. He was very humble. He knew that people worshipped him. He knew that he was considered one of the best drummers. Well, he was called the best drummer within the last 25 years. And it's like, I was watching it because I do watch a lot of these things, because I'm going to have kids that come to us who are like goth and emo and punk and heavy metal and Rage Against the Machine kind of sort of kids in that, who need an outlet, a healthy outlet to get their anger and frustration and fear and rage in that out, and they'll do that under my wing or under my bear claw, so to speak. We'll be able to help them with all of that, but it doesn't mean to say that when they're not on stage, or when they're being interviewed for magazines and documentaries, or when they're promoting their stuff in my stores and in our festivals and fairs and all of that, it doesn't mean that they're going to be allowed to be rude and disrespectful to the people who are going to be responsible for paying money to them, or offering them jobs or placements, or wanting to promote their work in that. They will have I will have an expectation for them to represent fire and their mama bear in the best possible way, because they're going to be a testament to how me and my staff, me and their mentors and tutors and all of that, how we've looked after them. And if they leave us in worse condition, or they leave us and they haven't changed and they're still swearing and doing things to hurt themselves or whatever, then we've let them down. And I'm not going to fail these children because their governments failed them, And so, in some aspects, with some of them, their parents failed them, their schools failed them, the system failed them. Well, I'm not going to fail them. And so I'm leading by example. So I will be immaculately dressed always, even if I'm running around in bare feet with, my summer dress hiked up in my knickers. I'm still going to present myself like a lady. I still, will be presenting myself in a very feminine way. They'll only see my mama bear side if I'm forced to have to come out and protect them and bring out my claws and swords and all of that. But that's what my security will be there for. If there's any threats that have come through those gates, then my veterans and my special forces, security guards, all of that will be there. But if my claws come out, then they'll see a different side to me. But in the meantime, I'm going to be the one running around with an apron on, baking cookies and letting the kids, because I've got a rule that no child is turned away, but all the children that stay at the dorms, they can come to me whenever they want, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. If they need to talk about anything, or they just want to cuddle, or they just want some peace and quiet and a nice hot chocolate and a coffee. I was going to say hot chocolate and coffee cake. Hot chocolate and coffee cake, because I want to learn, that's one of the things I'm making next. Them and digestive biscuits. They can come to my house 7 days a week, 24 hours a day, or they have to, because I want to build my house on the back of the foundation. My sister's house will be next door. So my door will always be open to my children. But I want them to be able to feel free to express themselves, even if they're saying swear words, as long as they're not being disrespectful. No judging anyone for the colour of their skin or their sexuality or anything like that. There's no judgment. No racism, no bigotry, no self-hate, no self-bullying, no self-punishment. We're all in this together, and we're all going to be responsible for helping each other, because they're going to be helping me bring my stories and my magic to life, and I'm going to be helping them by allowing them to have a safe place to express themselves without fear of judgment. So, and I'm just thinking, one of the required classes, I think that I might, because like all the classes that they take are going to be, they can take whatever classes they want. They can choose their curriculum based on things they're interested in, based on things they wouldn't mind to learn or give a go, and based on their skills and talents. But I'm thinking whether the one compulsory class will be etiquette classes for the girls and grooming classes for the boys, because etiquette classes for women covers the way they dress. And, my sister and I, we have extensively talked about the kind of clothes that I want to wear. All the clothes that, like, Miss Jodine wears, that they wear in, I call her Tallulah. the main character in When the Bell Breaks, our soap opera, which is like Dallas and Dynasty and Falcon Crest and that. Our Joan Collins, put it that way, or our Linda Evans. Like, her clothes you'll be able to wear in our boutique. You'll be able to buy from our boutique. So my sister and I, she knows exactly the look that I'm going for myself, for my, when I step out into the public. Once I'm out of here and I've got my money. But she also knows the kind of look that I'm going for, for my fashion range. And then, of course, when we have our food, music and art festival, and we have our this is our summer range, and then we do our catwalk. This is our autumn range, available online or in store. I still haven't got a name for the boutique at the moment. I'm just calling it the House of Honey, because I'm the queen bee. My Debbie means bee, and in some places it means honeybee. So it's just the House of Honey, because our designs are sweet. And we'll sell men's clothes, and we'll sell kids' clothes, and all of that as well. But my son is going to help with the men's fashion because he's got a thing for men's clothes. You know, like he's got a thing for clothing. So I'm going to let him do his own kind of range. But obviously we'll have a fashion and design department as well. And so yeah, my sister knows that I want like flawless fashion on a budget. So our stuff will look like it's Versace, but it's not going to come with a Versace price tag. And it'll be a limited range. As with our toys, we'll only make a certain amount before they're no longer made. You know, before we have to bring in the next season to, you know, to go with the next game or whatever. So we'll only have a certain range. So it's like, you know, once it's gone, it's gone. But the way that I want to dress is in line with my my feminine mannerisms and standing of feminine etiquette, I guess. When I was explaining it all to my sister a couple of years ago, she was bringing up pictures and she was saying like this, and I was like, "Oh my God, yes!" And she's like, "And like this," and I'm like, "Yes, oh my God!" She just got it straight away. So I said to her, you have to be, you have to dress me, you have to be my stylist and that. I said, I will pay you to dress me. And then it was like, well, look, I'm going to be doing my own fashion range anyway, so why don't you come and help me and we'll get a seamstress and a tailor. And then, you know, like we can show the girls how to work in, you know, acceptable heels, not slaggy heels, not the heels of whores. You know, like if you're going to wear knee-high boots, let them be gorgeous knee-high boots and not slutty ones. Like mine, I've got ones that are like pirate ones, but they're cool. Like I wear them over jeans, and they look really cool. So yeah, so I'm thinking that, yeah, maybe like the last class of the day should be like half an hour a day, or like every Monday, Tuesday, Friday or something. They have like a 30-minute etiquette class, and I'll bring in etiquette teachers, male and female, that can, you know, show them how to dress and how to present themselves, how to speak, and not even necessarily know which forks and stuff to use, but I mean, that might be in there. We could put on like, well, I mean, the end of year party, you know, because I'm going to be closed up over the winter, because after Christmas I have to anyway, because we'll probably be snowed in. So, you know, we'll go up to Christmas and then the kids will go home for Christmas and everything. But before they leave, I want to have like a masquerade like ball where we could put on like a fine dining experience where they could put the etiquette classes to use and send them off, send them back home as, you know, young men and women, even if they're 10. Because I'll take them as young as 10 if they're mature enough and can handle being away from their families for a year. That's something I'll have to work out with the Alaskan government in terms of, you know, allowing kids as young as 10 coming over from foreign countries to spend a year at our creative arts school. And I'm just going to have a drink. So, if you saw what I was like, hang on. Sorry. If you saw what I was like before I lost weight and worked on myself after my children saved my soul, touched by the angel, you wouldn't believe I was the same person. I look back at old photos and I'm terrified at, like, when I see old videos of myself, even in the midst of me losing weight. Oh Lord, no, thank you, no. I wouldn't have given me a job. I wouldn't have looked twice at me. I wouldn't have even considered it. because you wear your emotional state, your mental and emotional state shows on your body. And if you look good, you feel good. And I feel good. I'm not saying I look good, but I look a lot better than I did, when I was the size of Jonah's whale. So, yeah. So my hair will be done every time I go out. I don't step outside the front door now without putting my lippy on and my mascara and making sure that my cheeks aren't too red and shiny. And that was never me. And I was a beauty therapist as well. Also, as well, I'll be able to give the kids, like, because I've got beauty and cosmetic ranges. So they'll be able to have, like, take gift packs home of, like my shampoos and chemical free deodorants, and they'll be able to use them in their room and all those kind of products and stuff. They'll be given like little makeup bags and all of that with all my range. So I'll bring men and women in who are going to know exactly how to show these kids how to walk and hold their head up, and what shoes are an acceptable heel, that doesn't give off the wrong impression, because stilettos give off the wrong impression, and they're bad for your back and horrendous for your feet. So, yeah, so there we go. And of course, I'm going to have a barber's who's going to do like old school barbering with the leather straps and everything, and have the hairdressers in the salon, if they want to go in and have facials and all of that sort of thing. So, and it's all going to be my products that they use. I'm just currently getting my son to test out my shaving wax at the moment. It's only been like a week and a half, coming up 2 weeks, and he's only used it a couple of times, but it always takes about 3 months for everything to kick in. So, yeah, other than my spray, but yeah. So that's what I'm thinking, etiquette classes. Etiquette and grooming classes will be compulsory. So, and I've already got my reward system for these kids, other than the wages that they make and for the jobs that they do and all that sort of thing. I've got a reward system based on the reward system that I had for my boys when they were growing up. So, and I, I still reward them. I still buy them, I'm still looking after them, buying them jammies and vitamins and technical things, and yeah, I can't wait I just want to spoil them rotten. They can design their bedrooms and have whatever equipment they want. And when I go to Japan to look for artists to do yata no kagami and that, I want to get a custom-made samurai battle armour and that for Thomas to put in his room on display in his bedroom. Have it custom made and all that. So, yeah. Anyway, so I'm going to go, but yeah, I'm thinking that's what I might do, eh? I could only benefit them. So, I'll speak to you later. Ka kite.